Hello everybody, welcome back. Here we go. Looking at the Bitcoin chart. So, arguably, you could make the case that if you'd have followed my YouTube channel over the last couple of weeks, then you probably would have been ahead of the game. I'm not saying that to sound like I knew exactly what was going on. I always back both sides, like Carl from the Moon. You can never ever go wrong with that kind of strategy. But at the same time, like I did say, and I did make a point of saying that there is likely a strong case to suggest that we dump hard, and it's because we're in a downtrend, but it's also because of X, Y, and Z, all explained in those videos. Then I also said the most likely scenario is that we're going to reaccumulate within 40,000 to 49,000. This is the range, right? We debated yesterday that if we did remain above here, we could reaccumulate in this upper level, which would be good for altcoins. But again, like I said yesterday, I said that alts are all at a mega strong support, but Bitcoin is at a top area of resistance, which doesn't bode well for the fact that Bitcoin's most likely outcome is that we do come down to reaccumulate, meaning that altcoins are likely to get beaten up, maybe even trashed, and it looks as though that's the case now. So again, another perfect call, obviously backing both sides, but you see what I'm coming from. So this is why I always say, like, my preferred strategy, my preferred outcome, the most likely one, and then list the other ones which are less likely. The most likely outcome has always been reaccumulate within this zone. So with that in mind, then altcoins are breaking down below their supports. They are going into oversold territory, which is good for us because this is where we can start to think about picking them up. Not yet. But let's have a think about Bitcoin, what's going on with Bitcoin, rather than blow my own trumpet about the things that I've said over the last couple of weeks, which have been exactly as predicted. This is Bitcoin for the last, coming on for 10 years now. Yeah, 10 years. Pretty much a 10-year chart history. 2 bull markets going into a third. So this green line here is your 50 exponential moving average, and in the last 2 bull runs, we've remained above it the entire bull run. Coming down to test it twice on this one, and then the only other time we came down to test it is where we finally started to break down below it, going into a bear market. Reclaimed it here, bull market began, never broke down below it. Tested it a few times. You'll have to get your glasses on, but you can see that we retested it a few times. Been a very good support, and then finally started to trickle down below it. Bear market begun. Bull market reclaimed again, but on this bull market, this last one, the one that we've been riding since 2019, each year we have spent a bit of time down below it. It's different bull market. So this is again, when people talking about lengthening cycles, which does appear to be a very interesting scenario, and one that is probably accurate. But like I say, it's difficult for me to buy into a model that's not yet, I suppose, come out. But I'm happy to play it. Do you know what I mean? I'm happy to go along with it because the chart is a chart at the end of the day, and the long-term time frames have certainly shown that there's been a difference in this bull market from the outset, and so there's no reason to doubt that it's going to be different ongoing, really. So we've broken down below this 50 exponential each year. 2019 we broke down below it, reclaimed it. 2020 we had the March dump, the old flu dump there. And then reclaimed it, and then in May we dumped down below it again. Just for a single week we closed a candle body below it. These wicks don't really count for much, but it's the bodies that mean most, because it's closing bodies below it in the previous bull runs which have indicated a bear market. So it's always worth entertaining the idea that we do go into a bear market when we close weeklies below it. It's definitely worth thinking about. But as we've already seen, this bull market each year, we've had a period where we have broken down below it, but it more or less marks where it picks itself up from. And like I say, at this current value, the 50 exponential moving average is about 44,500 thereabouts. It depends on the exchange, but that's basically where it is. So we're heading down towards there now, and it's also the top of this cloud, which can offer a support, but I wouldn't really put too much weight on the fact that it's support. I think that what we're doing here is we're accumulating in this area, and this is what I said from the outset. So everybody's out there sort of flapping around. Bear market, it's a bear market. Blah, 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 help us. It's bearish, let's face it. There's nothing bullish about what we're looking at here. We've got 1, 2, 3 savage weekly red candles here. A small little spinning top saying, I don't know which way I want to go, to be honest with you. And then it continued down. And for the record, like the traditional markets aren't having a great time either. So, I mean, I've gone through some of the reasons in the past, leading up to this dump, and since the dump of why these sort of things are happening. I mean, there's a number of reasons. I mean, there was an enormous amount of open interest, lots of leverage. Everybody calling for 100,000 and the blow off top in 2000, and was it 2017? It's gonna peak in December, like it always does. That was always the model. The model would suggest that that's roughly around the sort of time it would be, and so I think there's a lot of over leveraged people that are now sort of crying into their Christmas stockings. And that's a good thing. Not that they're crying, but the open interest has been completely wiped, and now funding rate is negative, which is usually a good sign, I suppose, for things to come. That we can pick things up, with longs, low leveraged, obviously, because we don't really know where it's going. So there's that, but the two main things I would say is traditional markets coming down as a result of the Megatron virus and the tapering, so the Fed rates being changed, and then obviously being the end of the financial year for America. So there's been a big year, obviously, as it has been for all of us. It's been an amazing year for all of us. I mean, we should all be laughing all the way to the bank, even now. And if you would have held on to everything, throughout this entire downtrend, you'd still be laughing all the way to the bank, generally speaking. It's been an amazing year. If you remember where we were this time last year, I mean, the gains that have been made have been ridiculous. Just for the average person, never mind the institutional investor and all this, that, and the other. And that's across the board, not crypto. This is stocks, commodities, everything. It's been amazing, right? There's lots of unrealized profit that needs to be taken at the end of the financial year. And I think that's what's happening now, and it will continue, I reckon, to happen at this stage, because nobody wants to sail down their unrealized gains to the point where they're basically, there's nothing left. Well, I'm not going to say there's nothing left, but it's one of those things. The strength in the dollar has been something we've been tracking for a long time as well. In fact, let's have a little look at that now while we're here. The strength in the dollar, on the dollar index, is something that we've, again, another epic call from myself saying that how bullish this chart has been. We've been talking about this, I suppose, for a couple of months at least. This is a weekly chart here, saying, look, once we're in this zone and we're out of it, we're turbo bullish. And next year does look like it wants to continue. And everybody's, all these other people out there saying, but the dollar's going to die. And you'll die with it. Well, whoa. The dollar is just a currency like all others. It fluctuates, it's a chart, it gets traded. And the Dixie is a strong chart in the short term, as in weekly. Now, we are looking at this on a weekly, being a short-term time frame. You take it to the monthly, then yeah, you might have a case for something. But on the weekly, it does look like it's going to continue to make a new high. It's already gone back to pre-pandemic levels. And if it breaks out from here, we're talking about a full reversal from its absolute top where it broke down and the tapering began. The tapering did not the money printing began, not the tapering. The tapering is beginning now, which could lead to more dollar strength. So let's face it, the dollar's not dying. The dollar is strong. Strongest thing I can see. I mean, outside of the Turkish lira, actually. So yeah, the dollar strong, and all of this does offer further down pressure to Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin chart hasn't got much going for it right now. Not on the technicals, not on the fundamentals, not on anything. But that's just probably how we're going to end the year, in all fairness. But if we look at the technicals, we look at how it's I suppose turned around roughly in these areas, this 50 exponential kind of area. We also see this as a strong support on the $40,000 zone. It does look to me like it'll probably get picked up around here. So I'll be looking to sail this around, to be honest with you. Whether we hit 40,000, that's a definite buy zone. A definite buy zone, not just for Bitcoin, but for anything. So you use Bitcoin as an indicator. That's how I'm going to see it. And as these altcoins are getting completely beaten up, trashed, going down below sort of their mega supports, some of them going into no man's land, really. You don't know where to pick them up. I'd basically use Bitcoin as your overall indicator, and Bitcoin is going to turn around, in my opinion, around the 40,000 if we get there at all. One last little thing we'll look at is the Bitcoin dominance, which I imagine is sort of moving up closer to the 20 weekly. Let's have a look. I took off my Bollinger Bands off, didn't I, on this, because it was just getting a little bit too messy. Let's turn those Bollinger Bands back on. Let's get those back on. Right. So, yeah. So we've got a fair bit to go here. So this does suggest that altcoins have got a bit more droppage to take place. But this is a bearish chart all the same. But we got our bounce on the 40% dominant level, which is always a place to hedge back into Bitcoin, because we do this all the time. We always talk about it. In fact, some guy told me, he says, look, I'm bored of hearing about this Bitcoin dominance from you. Change the record, will you? And I'm like, look, I'm sorry, it's the strategy that I employ. The whole idea is that I share my trade ideas with you guys. I mean, why? I'm sorry that maybe you should go and have a look at the meme cats or something like that. I don't know. I've heard that there's some other things on YouTube that probably are more entertaining than this. In fact, I really don't think this is entertaining at all. I mean, I get bored hearing myself talk, to be honest with you. But yeah, the Bitcoin dominant strategy always seems to have caught a decent bounce around the 40%, for better or for worse. This is for worse. This was a dump. Altcoins got trashed, Bitcoin dominance went up. This was a Bitcoin pump, outperformed altcoins for a few weeks, no big deal. And this is a dump, showing that altcoins are actually weaker, surprise, surprise, than its Big Daddy Bitcoin, which is almost always going to be the case. But, we've traded this in the past, we've got a decent idea of where to hedge back into altcoins. And at the moment, it's about 43.12% dominance. It's basically the centre of this Bollinger Band. The 20 weekly seems to have had it since we broke down, basically. 20 weekly rejections over here, 20 weekly rejections here. We had a small bit of a movement around above it for here. A couple of supports on it as well, but then broke down. Rejection, rejection, rejection. So, you would like to think that the rejection would take place here again. It's the obvious strategy. It's the obvious place for it to happen. So at the end of the day, expect lower for Bitcoin throughout December, but don't expect the ground floor. For the moment, every day that we're above the 50 exponential on the weekly is a good day. And if we have a couple of weeks below it, that's where I would start to maybe think about a bear market. But I wouldn't suggest it's definitely the case. If we broke down below 40,000, then maybe I would start to think that is the case. So, especially if we broke down and start closing weeklies below this Ichimoku cloud here, which is coming in roughly at around 37,000 thereabouts. So it's not the end of the world. So don't panic, don't flap around. Enjoy Christmas. That's what it's for. It's just a chart that's being traded at the moment. Should I say it's an asset class that's being sold off. That's no big deal. We anticipated the drop. We expected worse to come for alts if we broke down, if we got rejected, which we have. So all of this is just opportunities in the waiting. That's all it is, just opportunities to buy back, whether it's Bitcoin or altcoins. We've got the strategy, we've got the plan. That's my plan anyway. And I'll stick to that plan. The idea is you got a plan, you set a plan out, carry on with your day. It's down again, no big deal. I kind of expected that. Carry on with your day. If it continues to go down, that's no problem. I kind of expected that. Carry on with your day. Christmas comes, eat a turkey, wake up the next morning, it's down again, no big deal. Where are we? 40,000. Okay. Where's the Bitcoin dominance chart? Okay, it's 43.12. Perfect. Let's enter some altcoins at this. It's all planned. This is how you should trade. It's not about looking at obviously it's upsetting to see red candles, right? If you're on the wrong side of them. And let's face it, I mean, I've got lots of trades still open, not leveraged ones, but I'm holding lots of coins. It's no big deal. You've got to expect fluctuation in the market, and with crypto, one of the things it's famous for is enormous fluctuation, massive gains, massive drops. So it's all relative to your entry point, obviously. Obviously, if you bought the top like Matt Damon and his friends, I can understand that this would be a hard December, a difficult Christmas for you. But for most of us, I say most of us, the vast majority of us, that I've noticed on this channel when it started to pick up. Anyway, because I've been doing this channel for ages, no one ever watched because nobody cared about crypto when it was just down here. Nobody cared about crypto. Nobody was watching stuff around here. But this is the time to have got in. I think this is one of the reasons why I can afford to be so casual when we see these sort of things, because there's been a lot of money made even just down here. Never mind all of this. This is just a Bitcoin chart. In amongst all of that, there's been enormous gains with alts. And even if you've just been around since January, you should be laughing still, and that's the best thing. That's why Wojak is such a good character. He represents the fun of being wrecked. We can all get wrecked together. It's no big deal. There's one of the most forgiving asset classes in the world is Bitcoin. Never mind, let's forget about altcoins, but Bitcoin in general, it seems to always work out. The only problem you've got is time. And like Michael Saylor says, and I'm not a moon boy or like a fanboy of Michael Saylor, but he did say that the best time to buy Bitcoin is always 5 years ago. So hold on to that. If you're wrecked today, if you're like Matt Damon going, oh my God, don't worry, Matt, 5 years from now, you'll be securing your financial freedom. I'm sure he's doing all right anyway. Right, I'll leave it with you there, but don't panic. Everything's okay. It's no big deal. And yeah, we'll hopefully, so long as there's no more puking going on in my house with that little exorcist kid of mine, then I should be able to make another video tomorrow at an appropriate time in the day rather than at the end of the night. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you take it easy.